Akpabio leave the assembly. Senator Natasha are still locked outside the Senate despite court call to resume office. This is nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. Wetin dem dey do? Wetin dem dey do? You see, this is one thing about the Nigerian, system of government. Court will give an order and verdict, and they instead of them to act in accordance to the order from the court, since they believe that the court actually is the eye of the law, they will just overlook it and will not want to do according to the law. This is wrong. Despite a court call and order for Senator Natasha to return back to the Senate after completing the 6 months suspension, they still lock her outside the Senate. It no make sense at all. It doesn't make sense in any way. Well, I'll be taking you into this video so that you hear it from yourself and you know what really led to that and what transpired and what made them to do what they did. Let's watch this video.
Lawmaker who represents Kogi Central had earlier secured a federal high court ruling declaring a suspension excessive and unconstitutional. But both parties have since appealed the judgment. Until the appellate court delivers its verdict, the Senate insists no administrative action will be taken to facilitate her return. Joining me right now to discuss this is Makji Mato Ibrahim, is the senior advocate of... Until the appellate court delivers its verdict, the Senate insists no administrative action will be taken to facilitate her return. Joining me right now to discuss this is Makji Mato Ibrahim, is the senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me. Of September 2025, and just for formality's sake, she requested that all rights and privileges as a member of the Senate, be restored and the suspension lifted. However, the National Assembly did, of course, respond. The Senate did respond. I would like to read an excerpt of that letter, so that we can actually break this down. I'll move to the second paragraph. The letter has notice of resumption. In it says, I am further directed to inform you, that's in response to a letter, that your suspension was with effect from Thursday, 6th of March 2025, if the copy can come on screen, and draw your attention to the fact that the subject matter of your suspension is presently before the Court of Appeal. The matter, therefore, remains sub judice, and until the judicial process is concluded and the Senate formally reviews the suspension in the light of the court's pronouncement, no administrative action can be taken by this office to facilitate your resumption. Basically, what the House is saying is that until this case is resolved in court or there's a verdict on it, she can't resume. Are we looking at some sort of legal bottlenecks or, drags here?
Oh, Mr. Dapo, speaking as a lawyer, I think the subject matter is very simple and straightforward. You see, if after the suspension by the Senate, Senator Natasha, distinguished Senator Natasha, did not challenge the matter in court, and it is now 6 months, automatic resumption to the Senate, unless, of course, something else has come up. But having gone to court to challenge the suspension, and of course, a verdict was even given, which the National Assembly was not very okay with, and have gone on appeal. To me, that is not a ground, unless, of course, beyond the appeal, there is maybe a pending application seeking for an injunction to restrain the execution of that judgment. Otherwise, a mere appeal cannot serve as a stay. So I will fault the letter by the clerk of the National Assembly that because there is pending appeal, that the judgment of the court.
Barrister Matu Ibrahim, are you there? I think we seem to, of course, have some sort of connectivity issues with him.
Does not
okay, we have him
stay.
back.
Yes. So an appeal does not operate as a stay at all.
All right. So for you, the response by the National Assembly, you said you would rather fault it as a bit of overstay, according to the terms of the law. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, because the law is clear. Yes, you have your right to appeal any judgment that you are not happy with, you are aggrieved about. You have the right to appeal. But while you are appealing, the judgment which has been delivered or handed over has not been set aside.
Yes.
What is there now is that there is an appeal challenging that judgment until the decision is taken by the appellate court saying that that judgment that was handed over by the trial court is wrong. That judgment has to be obeyed. That is the standard. That is the law. So the point I'm making is that probably he is speaking or he wrote the letter omitting a vital part, which is maybe there is a pending application saying that we have appealed already, telling the court that we have appealed, and then we're asking that the execution of this judgment, which we have appealed against, be stayed. Unless there is something like that, then you cannot say because you have appealed a judgment, which is declaratory in nature, that you cannot give effect to the judgment that has been handed down. So that is wrong, legally speaking.
So, I mean, is it within the rights of Senator Natasha, irrespective of this response, to resume her duties in the House, if she chooses to?
If you got me right, like I said, if there is a pending application which she was served, asking the court to stay the execution, then she cannot, because she went to court and then they are not happy with the judgment. They have gone on appeal. If they have filed a motion to say stay the execution of the judgment, until that motion is taken ahead and determined one way or the other, the judgment stands suspended. But if there is, in the absence of that application, it is within her right to go back, and it is also not proper for the National Assembly to stop her from going back. Also, that there is a judgment that have declared the suspension, the 6-month suspension, as excessive, and then the denial of the rights of the constituents that she represents. So whichever way, probably that has not been taken into effect by the clerk of the National Assembly, but if it has been taken effect, and that there is no motion filed by their lawyers, then of course they are wrong, to stop her from resuming her duties.
Nigerians. Nigeria is a lawless country. This nation, you and I are claiming that we are citizens of, is a lawless country, I must tell you. This is the third time I'm witnessing a decision coming from the court, a declaration coming from the appellate court being, degraded, downgraded, and dismissed. The same courts that you people claim are the eyes of the law. The same thing happened to the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu was released and acquitted and was even given compensation instead of Nigerian government to obey the rule of law. They said no, that very judgment didn't go down well with them. Another one has come to Natasha. The court has granted Natasha the chance to resume the court is satisfied with all the necessary, conditions, and have granted her and lifted her suspension, and have asked her to return back to the Senate. And now the Senate is claiming that they are not satisfied with what the law has given out. We don't have respect for our own law. We don't have respect for our law. Now, it is very clear when they said that some persons are above the law. That is what has just been shown out. That is what has been shown. No wonder they do things above the law. No wonder they try to add to the law, even when they know that it is wrong. My people, there is no law in Nigeria anymore. The law of Nigeria has been abused and has been made nonsensical of. No law is guiding you. No law at all in this country. It is a lawless country. I'm telling you, no wonder anyone does anything they like. No wonder Nison Wike can do whatever he likes and go scot-free. No wonder they can make a mess of the Nigerian of the funds in the treasury and go scot-free. No wonder. No wonder someone in the Senate or someone on top in Nigeria will commit a heinous crime, and that very crime will be covered. My people, this is a lawless country. A lawless country. Please let me share this very video. You've heard it already. That Natasha ought to have returned to the Senate. Because why? The courts have lifted her suspension and has given her the go-ahead to return. So why would they be shutting the door against her? Let's share this video. Let it get to the last person.